Hey guys, welcome back to another deck profile on the channel. Today we have
Blake.
And he is playing
Ashen.
All right, really cool deck. Why are you playing it?
I'm playing it because Vados is really good against Ryzo, Cross, and Malice and Underground, and a lot of people just don't really understand how to play against this deck. It's not an OTK deck, which also means not a lot of people know how to play it. You just kind of need to force the grind game, which is why we're playing a second engine in here, but we'll get to that eventually.
Awesome.
Starting it off, 3 Vados. This is mandatory. Vados is the heart and soul of this deck besides the field spell itself. This card, it has a quick effect during either player's main phase. You can target a field spell on either side. You summon this to your opponent's field, destroy that field spell, and then you can set a Ashen continuous trap to your field. This is really fun because in this format, very specifically, we still see Centurion, we still see, obviously, Ryzeal. When your opponent activates Ryzeal Cross from hand, any activation of a field spell is Chainlink 1. If you go Vados Chainlink 2, Ryzeal Cross is not resolved on the field yet, which means that it cannot negate Vados' effect to destroy it. Same thing is true with Stand-Up Centurion. It has its protection effect, doesn't matter what they have on the field. If they go Stand Up, it's Chainlink 1 in the field zone, Chainlink 2 Vados will pop it, even though it has that destruction protection, because it hasn't resolved on the field, it can't protect itself. Next after that is the Searcher, Priestess.
Gotta play it.
She is the mandatory 3 of for monsters. All of them, the rest of them are all 1s or none ofs. Except Shaman, which is arguable, but Priestess is the normal summon. If you have the field spell out, every single Ashen monster just specials themselves from your hand. So it's like Horus, but worse. Next we play 1 King. King is part of the combo line that when your opponent controls a monster with 2800 or more attack, which conveniently they will, you can special an Ashen monster from your deck. We play 1 Hero. Hero's mandatory, but it's also not part of the combo line. This is more so to board wipe your opponent. I did forget to mention Vados, when it goes from your opponent's field to the graveyard, you can choose to Dark Hole.
Okay.
So it's just a Dark Hole. Hero is while it's on the field, also during the main phase, unfortunately, it's just a quick effect. Target a Pyro monster on the field, pop it, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you pop Vados specifically, you can place Obsidian from your deck face up in your field zone. And then as well as with Obsidian on the field, every monster, on your turn only, your opponent's monsters that are special summoned are Pyros. I wish they would have made it like Zombie World, because it would be a much stronger control deck if that were the case, but obviously they didn't want to do that. They made this deck a lot weaker than it could have been, considering it Pyro locks with multiple cards. Then I'm playing 1 Shaman. I am not playing Spearhead. I don't like Spearhead. I don't think Spearhead is good. There are times that with this list I've been messing around with even 2 Shaman, because sometimes, depending on what you start with, you'll go, Priestess, King. You don't want to summon another Priestess. You want them in your deck for grind later, so you summon a Shaman, so you can overlay these 2 for Infernal Flame Banshee. But then you've burned your Shaman, and your Shaman is your recursion, because while it's on the field, you can target 3 Pyros that are in your grave and or banishment, shuffle them into the deck, and then if any one of those was an Ashen monster, you can add an Obsidian from deck to hand.
Cool.
Speaking of which, Obsidian, also a mandatory 3 of. This is the other part of the Heart and Soul. This is a card that, when it's destroyed or banished from the field zone, you can special an Ashen from your deck, and that's any time that it gets destroyed or banished. So I've had people where they would summon Chaos Angel, they'll banish this, and I go, alright, awesome. New Chainlink, Obsidian special.
So it's Gear Town that doesn't miss timing.
Kind of, yeah. And then, like I was saying, while it's on the field on my turn, my opponent's special summon monsters become Pyro. And then I feel like, the end phase effect. If I have a Obsidian in my field zone and there's another one in the graveyard, during the end phase, the one on the field can activate, target the one in the grave, put it on the bottom of the deck, and draw 1. This is nice, but it being the end phase makes it kind of annoying, because if you draw like an Imperm or something, you can't set it. The best card to draw off it is, if you haven't activated it yet this turn, Awakening of Vados. This card's fantastic. This is the 1 card of the deck, even though technically it's not, because it gets you an Obsidian and it gets you a Vados, which is the 2-card combo.
Nice.
This deck technically does not have any 1 cards except this, but this card Pyro locks you from the deck and extra deck for the rest of the turn. When you activate this card, you place an Obsidian from your deck on either field zone, and then if your opponent controls any card in their field zone, so even if you give yourself Obsidian, if your opponent went first and they have a field spell, you can add a level 5 or higher Dark Pyro from deck to hand, which is currently just Vados, King, and Hero.
Gotcha.
Pretty much every time you're adding Vados, you never ever are upset to have 2 Vados in hand. So even if you open one, getting the second one's good. But sometimes you kind of want to hold off on this. You know, you can chain it to Droll. If someone like tries to Droll you or they ash your Priestess, you can chain this. But you want to hold off on this for a specific reason we'll get to in a minute. This is Extinguishing. I'm running 2 of them because 3 is kind of too much. 1's not quite enough until the new support card in Alliance Insight comes out. It is not an Ashened card. It's called Chaotic Elements, but it does pretty much the same thing. It searches a level 5 or higher, light or dark, pyro or aqua. As well as when it's in the grave, if your opponent controls a light or dark, aqua, or pyro, you can banish that card to just take control of that opponent's monster. So it works a lot better for this than Tistina. Tistina is the other thing that card is targeted at, but it works a lot better for Ashened. This also pyro locks you from, I believe, just extra deck. Yes, this one's just extra deck, but we don't really want to do that yet. So we would search this card off Priestess, and then we'd kind of pause our combo depending on what's on board.
Gotcha.
Well, again, we'll get to it in a minute. For the traps, we're playing 2 copies of Endlessness. It's really good for the grind game. A lot of people read this, they realize it's super poly, and they immediately try and get rid of it. So you have the second one so you can set it, and that way if you have 1 in the grave, 1 on field, you can use the grave effect one, banish itself, and another dark pyro, turn all of your opponent's monsters pyro, activate the one on the field, fuse off the entire field and 1 of the fusion monsters.
Gotcha.
Then we're playing 1 copy of Ashen for Eternity. This card, when it's flipped face up, it can add back the main deck Vados or any Ashen from grave to hand non-targeting, so it's really good at getting around Bestials. If they Bestial, you chain this. If they go Malice White Binder, you chain this. The other effect is, while it's face up, you can target a card that your opponent controls that you own, aka Vados, or if they talents you even, or if they use a Charmer. I've had that happen a few times. You target it and you take it back. And then all their monsters lose attack equal to that original attack for the rest of the turn. So it's really good to do in battle phase. Is I'll just flip
Basically,
this in battle, grab something back, and then effect yoink, and they can't
Everything's
attack
like
over
0,
me.
yeah.
Pretty much.
Neat.
Next is just 3 Bonfire.
Makes sense.
It's just a good searcher. You really want Priestess, even though she's not a 1-card combo, she's still a really good card.
Yeah, makes sense.
1 Terraforming, because we're
Search
playing a
the
deck
option,
that's
yeah.
a field spell deck. 1 Called By,
Makes sense.
because we don't want them stopping us with Ash or whatever.
Yeah.
Then the other engine I'm playing is, unfortunately, for everybody that doesn't want to pay $1 million for this deck, Fiendsmith. But I'm playing some variants, or what's the word I'm looking for here? Ratios that most people wouldn't. So 3 Engravers, pretty standard, but I'm actually also playing 3 Lacrima. Lacrima can be a really good normal summon for this deck because you're not always going to normal Priestess. Sometimes you do open Lacrima Priestess, and you have to make that decision depending on what's in the rest of your hand.
Right.
But a lot of the times, if you have Obsidian or a way to Obsidian, you don't need to normal this. You just wait and you start and bait out their hand traps with the Fiendsmith stuff. And if they don't have any, you're ending on a big, big Desiree.
Makes sense.
The obligatory Lurie.
Yep,
we
gotta
have
play
to
the Garnet.
And then also 3 Tracked.
Jeez.
Yeah, no, it seems like a big engine, but you want to see this as much as possible because also if I just happen to open, let's say, Obsidian and then two of the Ashen monsters I don't really want to open, like let's say we open Hero King Obsidian and 2 cards that don't really do anything else with that, 2 hand traps, we can go activate Obsidian, special those 2, link them off into Moon.
Makes
Moon
sense.
Directly, you know, it works, and we haven't pyro locked ourselves because we haven't used any of the lockings yet. So it works. And then the 1 Paradise for obvious reasons.
Yep.
After that, this is pretty much the core deck. You can run however you want to run hand traps. For me, I'm running 12 currently, so it brings the deck count up to 48, which is a little much for some people. You can cut it down to 9, but I'm liking it like this. So we've got 3 Imperm, 3 Nibiru, 3 Effect Veiler, and 3 Ash.
Makes sense.
So that brings us up to 48. That's that. It's really fun to do. The extra deck is a little redundant. Some people think it's a little strange, but it comes up a lot because, again, we grind a lot. So the 1 Moon, like I was talking about earlier,
Yep.
with the Fiendsmith stuff, because I have so much room because of Ashen, I'm not even joking when I say I'm running 2 of all of them.
Gotcha. Beat the Bestials.
It does. It beats Bestials and it beats Unicorn. Because they can go Unicorn, they can look in here, sure, they can get rid of the Moon, but they can touch any one of these and I don't care because I got a second one. 1 Chaos Angel.
Yep.
Just because we're playing a bunch of lights and darks, I'm also siding 3 Bestials. So, you know, the Ashen 4s are darks, and then the Engraver's the light 6. Lacrima's a light 6. The Bestials are dark 6. Or, sorry, Lacrima's a
Light
Light
four.
4, thank you.
Yep.
And the Bestials are dark, so I mean it's just Chaos Angel Turbo. It's
Makes
great.
sense.
Typhon is just a really good card.
Backup plan.
Yeah.
The backup plan.
Pretty much, it's just backup plan, and then we're playing 4 cards for Ashen. This is the necessary cards. 1 Infernal Flame Banshee, because even if we pyro lock ourselves, we can still make this and go into things. Funny thing is, sometimes I've had it where I've ended on a Lacrima after, Requiem, and it gets like impermed or whatever, so I don't have anything to do with that. We get out a Shaman or a Priestess, and then we make this to get Vados.
Pretty neat.
It's just funny. And then we're playing 2 copies of Embers. Embers of the Ashen City is a really fun card. It's just any 2 pyro monsters. I was having a great time with this in Snake Eye format because I'd let them get out their Ashen Poplar or whatever, and I just go Super Poly. As you know, I'm not playing Super Poly in this anymore because it just kind of bricks it, slows it down too much. But at the time, it was very fun. This card may be crazy eventually with more field spell centric decks that may or may not be able to include pyros, because on its summon you target any field spell in the graveyard, add it to your hand. It doesn't have to be Obsidian. So I was playing Ashen Runic for a little bit. I know it sounds like it really shouldn't work, but it's really funny because you would do your Runic stuff, shuffle back, draw 3 cards, then you'd have Ashen combo. You'd play the Obsidian over the fountain, do all of that. You'd summon Embers, get the fountain back, activate the fountain again, and pass.
Pretty cool.
It worked. And then the last one is, as we
dragon.
passionately call him in the Ashen community, Big Dose. This one's also named Vados, the Dragon of Endless Darkness. This is a fusion monster that you really only summon with the trap card. On its summon, it can destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. So it's a Feather Duster. So when you fuse off the Vados on your opponent's field with the Super Poly Trap, it's
just
1
wipes.
Chainlink, 1 Dark Hole, Chainlink, 2 Feather Duster. So it just wipes their entire board, and it itself can't be targeted by monster effects, and it can't be destroyed by card effects, so it's immune to the other Vados' board wipe.
That's so sick. Also, sick artwork on this card.
Yeah,
I love the blue.
there's a playmat for it. I really want it, but it's like $200 right now, so I'm not
Makes-
giving out that money.
Makes sense. Well, any last thoughts on the deck?
No, it's been pretty fun. There are little tweaks. Like I said, I go between 1 and 2 Shaman sometimes. And then you can play a 1 of Rekindling the Ashened. It is essentially Imperm that is slightly recursion because it places an Ashen card from your banishment or grave to the bottom of the deck as cost to then target and negate a monster your opponent controls.
Pretty neat.
It's okay, but it sucks to open.
All right. Well, thanks, man. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch y'all next time.